Blessings, everybody. Holy Shalom. This is Apostle Crystal Lee, and I'm here with my brother, Apostle Ace. And we are here for the fifth day of Sukkot 5784, the Ark and the Crown. We're excited to be here with you this evening. If you have not invited someone, go ahead and invite them. Share the broad. Oh, my. I'm repeating myself. Wonderful. Okay, so you heard it twice, so you know where you are, right? You know where you are. I had something in the background playing there because I needed to get access to another screen. But we're here and we're excited. Apostle Ace, how are you this evening?
Oh, like doing like work in the kingdom of Yah.
I'm with you right
Shalom, shalom, shalom.
now. Absolutely, absolutely. If you guys would just take the time to like, subscribe, and share. I see we got new subscribers. That's wonderful. It's a wonderful thing to have new family members. Just go ahead and like the videos as well. Hit that like button because it helps us be more available. Our numbers are going up and down, but they're pretty good in this season. We're reaching a different audience in this season, and I'm loving that. I see my sister Blue is on. Barbara, I love you. Thank you so much for being here with us this evening. And we're going to go ahead and dive in to some things tonight. I was just sharing as we were coming on, and I believe this will help many of you because we were talking last night about just the time that we're in and how things are appearing to be so chaotic. But, we talked about this the other day, but the Father said everything is in divine order. It's in divine order, but it doesn't feel like that. It doesn't look like that. But I was sharing with brother when he was getting on that is such a great responsibility to be blessed. And most people, when they hear the word blessed, when they hear the word blessing, they only think of the part that they are being taught, which is the concept of having a bunch of things, or I don't know, it has something, it's connected to their having and not becoming. And I think it's such a disservice to us to not understand that blessing is a responsibility. The blessing of Yah, carrying the blessing of Yah, carrying the glory of Yah, it's a huge responsibility. And at times it can almost seem overwhelming if you're not aware of the fact that you need Him. And in those moments when you feel a little bit of intensity, because it will come, because when He blesses us, He blesses us. You understand what I'm saying? It's not some small thing. It's all at once. And all I could think of was the verse that we've been talking about for years. And my spiritual mother talks about this all the time in this season. She's constantly quoting Amos in this season. And the book of Amos discusses that the blessing is going to be so great that your head is going to spin. And I'm telling you that that's a real place. That's absolutely a real place. And when it says that, it's speaking figuratively, but it has some literal significance to it, because when the blessing overtakes you, it's not something that you imagined, because the word declares that He does exceeding and abundantly above all that we could even ask or think, but it's according to the power that's working in us. But it's another verse that talks about that what He does is according to His riches in glory. And I don't think we quite conceptualize these things, because all again we're thinking about is the having part, but we're not
hmm
thinking about the part that lends us to the responsibility of having. What do you think about that, brother?
Well, once again, I say shalom to each and every one that's present and live with us at this moment, and I thank Yah for my sister tremendously, and what is being done daily, daily, daily during these feast times. And as you were saying that before you went live, you was discussing that blessing, being blessed is a work. It's work.
This work.
And so and once we got closer to, and I was thinking about it, that blessing is work,
It's work.
and it is work.
It
It
is.
is work, and people, like you said, people are so in eared and been taught to have. I want to have, but they don't understand that there's work to be done. And it
Mm.
took me to Genesis,
Yes, please.
sister. It took me
Yes.
to Genesis, where you see the garden in Eden.
Yes.
It doesn't talk about the created man. What it does, it talks about he formed a man and put him in the garden to work.
Yes.
Here's a so you in that brief discussion, you was just saying there's a grace in the work because it don't look like it's hard.
It don't look like it's hard.
But because understand, with Yah, there's no sweating, there's no labor in doing this, and
Yeah.
but when Adam sinned, when he disobeyed Yah, then Yah said, "Hey, the work that you had now is over. I'm putting you out.
You
Now
got to
you
study up
gonna go
front.
back to the labor.
Yeah.
It's gonna be hard."
Yeah.
But there's slave labor, and there's work
Yes.
of the blessings of Yah that has the grace to it. Don't look like
Yes.
you're doing too much of anything. And
Yeah.
people be like, well, you're working because you're working in the kingdom of Yah, doing what He's given to do, and it doesn't look hard to other people, but it's
But
work.
it's work. But it's always work. Always work. I mean, when you think about it, you brought up that scripture, and I got a couple here to share too, because I want to go back to Genesis, and I want to talk
Hmm.
about Isaac a little bit, um, and how he had to the wells had to be redug.
Hmm.
Um, it is work. Um, it's absolutely work. I've got so many things going on in my mind right now as I'm thinking about this blessing that overtakes.
Hmm. Hmm.
Because the
Oh my.
only thing that most people think about when they think about the blessing overtake, they think of ease. So I want to read you
Hmm.
the opener that the Father gave me for tonight because I thought it was succinct, it was short. I said, "Oh, we doing a short opening tonight because we got a lot to talk about, right?"
Hmm.
But I've communicated some of these things before, and I often communicate them. But I want to share this again because in this season, as this shift is happening, um, we're going to witness some things that we need to be prepared for. We're going to see some enemies uh,
Hmm.
face to face, and we need to be prepared for the enemies we're going to be looking in the face of. It's almost like you're going to begin to see some things that you never even knew was there,
Hmm.
that was dealing with you, and you didn't know that that was there. And now you got to be standing face to face with that thing to tell it what to do
Hmm.
because the Father's dividing and He's revealing.
Hmm.
He's dividing and He's revealing. He's separating us from things and separating things from us. It's like how He brought the children out of Israel, not just to bring them away from captivity, but to take captivity out of them.
Hmm. Hmm.
So we think
Hmm.
that once we get out of the clutches of this captivity, then we're good, but there's still more work that has to be done in us. So we got to be
Hmm.
taken certain ways and certain directions in order to
Hmm.
pull out of us the thing that was in there because of the experiences that we've had.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
this is why we cannot despise our experiences. We cannot despise or have regret about the things that we've had to journey through because they all had purpose. Even if you were born into the most ridiculous, what you consider the most ridiculous group of people for a family.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
I mean, I can say that because I'm sure that a lot of people have an experience with that where they just feel like these people are ridiculous. They're illogical. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
But there is
Hmm.
still a purpose, even for the ridiculous and the illogical, that has that is a part of your lineage because it's something that the Father is drawing out of you, just like He did with Joseph. He that favor wasn't connected to that coat. That coat was just a representation of the favor that his father had for him, and a prophetic representation of the favor that Yah had on his life. But regardless of that coat, favor was what he was endowed with. So no matter where he went, things were changing. Now, he couldn't change nothing about his family because they hated his guts originally, right? That favor didn't work for them originally. But when that favor went to its destination, when that favor arrived in a destined place and things changed in the areas that the family was in, and they had to wind up coming to his destined place, now the favor worked for them that would not work for them before. So I'm prophesying to you that there is a destined place. And we know that there are places because I've shared that. But there are some places specifically that the Father desires to take you. So that if you're dealing with things in your familial relationships that are just awkward and ridiculous, there's a purpose for that. Get excited about the awkward and the ridiculous in this season. Get excited about these things because this is an announcement to you that you are closer to your destined place than you've ever been. And that even though you feel like you're going through some changes now, when you arrive there, the blessing that is on you, the favor that is on you, the gift that you are, is going to benefit that environment and is going to reach back and is going to be a blessing to those who could not handle the favor or what was on you before. They're going to have to handle it. The Father's literally going to make people respect you in this season. He's going to make them respect you. Just like he said, all the nations are going to come up for the feast at some point. He meant what he said. When he said every knee will bow and every tongue will confess, he meant exactly what he said. He said they're going to have to deal with what I put on you. They're going to have to deal with what I have given you because times are shifting and things are changing, and you're the only one with the answer. Father gave me a word many years ago. The oil is in demand. And when the oil is in demand, baby, your stock price goes way through the roof. And people that didn't even buy stocks now understand the value of it. Okay? And they want a piece. They want a piece. Okay? This is what I want to share in the opening because, in my opinion, brother, two of the most subtle and deadly enemies of a believer are comfort and convenience. Yah is desiring for sons to enter the destined places. However, we must be willing to move under the divine instruction of heaven to arrive at each ordained place. And we mustn't get comfortable with where we are and neglect the seek for revelation of Yah and our identity. We cannot get comfortable. And a lot of people get comfortable because religion makes people comfortable. They're doing the same rituals and all of these things every day, and they get comfortable. I prayed today, or I read a little bit of word, or I did this, and it's like, oh, I did my duty. Yeah, the question is, what was on the agenda, on heaven's agenda for you to do today that did not get done? Because you feel like your duty stopped in prayer and in the reading of the word. And this is how people treat the relationship with Yah. I prayed a little bit today. I read a little word. Now I'm going to do my thing. I went to church today. I'm going to Bible study on Wednesday. I did my thing. You know, like almost like I gave Yah his time. Now, his time is not limited to those things. Those are things that you're, I guess, supposedly should be doing to widen your spectrum, to broaden your horizon, you know. But if it's not being even done in the right spirit, then how is anybody benefiting from it? Because it doesn't stop at your association with that particular service or that particular act. Those are just expressions. You know what I mean? They're outpours of the relationship, you know? What are you thinking about this, brother?
Listen. You know, tell you, sis, it's just something that when the first I just start with the favor,
Yeah.
and it is interesting because there is a prepared place for us, you
Yes.
know, and this is something that and on the journey, yeah, where am I supposed to be?
Mm.
Where am I supposed to be planted? Where am I supposed to be? Because if I get there to where I'm supposed to be, if I'm not in the place where I'm supposed to be, because when you think about Yah's creation and the bird, He created them and He made an environment for them to be blessed, to be
Yes.
favored,
Yes.
everything. And outside of that environment, it
Uh,
becomes chaos, and they suffer. That you will suffer based upon outside of the environment. So I have to create things
mm.
to be better,
Mm.
but I'm dying because I'm trying to find a place where I can survive. And so when I think about these animals, and because people often say he created a place for he created worship for us, that the worship is an environment for us. But why are people suffering? If you know that Yah's created a place of worship and you're supposed to be in it, why are we still suffering?
Mm.
Something is wrong
And
because
it's
you're
wrong.
not in. Something is wrong that you're not in the place where you need to be,
Mm.
because as you stated, when when there's a prepared place, there's that favor
Mm.
on your life. Because
Mm.
when you get there, every knee shall bow
Mm-hmm.
because
Yeah.
of favor,
Yeah.
because you are in the right place
At the
where you're
right time.
supposed to be. That's
Mm.
where life is at when you are at the right place where you're supposed to be. And and even in Exodus chapter 23,
Yeah.
verse verse 20, behold, I'm sending a Malak in front of you to
Front
keep
of
you in the way and bring you into a place which I have
you.
prepared for you.
Mm-hmm. He
So
said,
there's a
I'm
place,
going to send a Malik in the way. That goes back to the angel thing, right?
right?
So we're not talking about just some winged creature.
No,
No, there were listen, there were people on that journey that they had to deal with, even when they went into certain lands. And this is why I was upset with some of the nations, because when they went into those spaces, they were not the angels. They did not do the service. They didn't do the service. Now, some of those places, and the father told him, he said, now when you get over here, I didn't give you this land. So I know that we've been fighting along the way, but we ain't fighting here. We're not picking no fights here. But when you get there, you're gonna pay for your food and your water.
Absolutely,
I tell
absolutely.
you that even the blessing is work, because it's gonna require something of you. Some kind of way it's gonna require something of you. Keep going, brother.
And so Yah's prepared a places over to think about, even when I think about the animals. I usually you go there. You think
Yeah,
about a circus animal. You
yeah.
take an elephant out of its environment,
My God.
and you put a giraffe in your backyard,
Mm, mm-mm.
and it's going to suffer,
He's
but
gonna
can
say,
it survive? Can it
mm-mm.
survive? Yeah, but it's going to suffer because it's out of its environment.
Ah,
And a lot of times, that when the circus animals are taken out of their environment and they're now controlled and enslaved and trained, and they can't be who they are,
mm,
then now that you see them, they're emotionally messed
traumatized.
up,
They're traumatized.
traumatized,
Ah,
messed up,
my God.
messed up. And so then when they get to sit about to retirement, then they have to kind of like, we're gonna ease them back into their environment,
Into their
the
own
where they can,
habitat.
right.
Huh?
And so now you got, so it goes into the thing is, here's the people are messed up.
Oh my God.
People are messed up because they're out of the environment, out
My
of
God.
place,
Mm.
out of place, and trying to survive and live. Religion, see, when you're not in a prepared place for you,
Mm.
you know, here's religion. So this is what you're gonna do. I'm going to cage you. I'm going to train you. I'm going to enslave you. And if you do this, you're going to survive. But most people in religion today are suffering. They mimicking, doing all kinds of things that the circus master
Wow.
is telling them to do.
Mm-mm.
And got that whip.
Oh my God.
And you can see, especially in the lion cage or the tiger cage, the whip and the animal draw back and they
Oh
draw back. But I remember it was some years ago, the famous
yeah. Yep.
lion trained to tiger
I
trainer,
remember that.
and it was two guys,
Yep.
and they were doing and got attacked,
Yep.
almost killed him.
Yep.
Been raising him up from a little, but so much, so it kept on pop, 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 and it's enough is enough.
Enough is enough.
You whipping me. I'm trying to do what you want me to do, and
Oh,
it just ain't working. So we have this circus master,
this
which
is where
the
we are.
enemy is, and it constantly popping. Do this,
Yeah.
flip, jump. Go through the hoop of fire. Yes.
Oh
And
my
so when you do it, I'm going to get paid, but I'm going to give you kibbles and bits.
God. Oh
And you're
my
going to feel that you're blessed based upon the trauma and all this stuff that I've been put you through
God. Oh
because
my.
now you're out of your environment.
And
And they
and
call it blessed.
and this is where and this is where the danger lies because then people begin to seek rest. They begin
Hmm.
to try to seek a place of
Hmm.
solace, but they usually go all the way to the opposite end.
Yes.
They usually go all the way to the opposite end of that spectrum. And that's where we have the problem because of the trauma. People are leaving relationship. People talking about leaving the church. That ain't got nothing to do with the price of tea in China. What's the most important thing to the Father is the relationship.
Hmm. Hmm.
Leaving the relationship, not understanding their divine identity. That means something because in a heartbeat, the church will shut down. All the government got to say is one word and the church going to close the doors.
Oh, you know, I'm with you when
We
you're
didn't
right.
see it. You've seen it. So that can't be the solution. It's got to be community. It's got to be a body of believers that outside of these four walls still exists and
Hmm.
still
Hmm.
operate in the kingdom assignment. Because it can't just be about
Hmm.
me coming to usher or sing or do these things inside of the building and that's the solution or the answer because people are coming there and doing all this work and they still got bills, their lights are still getting shut off, water bill need to be paid. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
We're
Hmm.
not looking at the total picture.
Mm-mm.
Amos said this, and we're gonna go back to this work piece for a minute because this is really on me. Because I am a living witness that each time the Father chose to bless me, it was work. It was about location, just like you said, being in the right place at the divine time was necessary in order for the encounters to happen. I'm dealing with some things right now. I walked into a space just the other day, and I'm not going to tell y'all the whole story, but I walked into a space. And when I walked into that space, um, the person said to me after I had met the person, they were like, um, yeah, it just like they just opened up and were like, okay, what they had available, they were like, okay, that over there from that area to that area, I'm gonna give you all of that, and you don't pay me no money. I just want to make sure that you have this particular space. And this is, it was, doing some things with them in business that I've been wanting to do for years. It's kind of putting me back in a position that I wanted to do years ago. And I'm like, wow, okay. So I'm thinking about this, and even as I'm thinking about it today, I'm like, okay, but this is work. This is work. And it's probably not going to be very difficult work for me. I don't think that, because of what I've been equipped with. However, it is necessary to establish stuff. It's just like if you're getting ready to have a fashion show, right? The easiest part is the part that the people see. They think that this is good because, oh, this is beautiful, but they don't understand all the work that went into it. They're only seeing the outcome. They're only seeing the last part of it. They're not seeing anything that went into it. They don't see all the rehearsals. They don't see the designers designing the clothes. They don't see all of the show rehearsals where you got to tell them how to come upstage and go backstage, and the changing, and they don't see all of that. But when they see the production, they're like, wow, this is amazing. But guess what? As amazing as it was, and the money that you made was great, but you had to put something in. It's something that you had to do for it. Now, Amos chapter, I believe it's 9. Yep. Chapter 9 says, behold, the days come. I'm in verse 13. Saith Yah, that the plowman shall overtake the reaper and the treader of grapes. We talked about this a little bit. Him that soweth seed. Him that soweth seed. And the mountains shall drop sweet wine, and the hills shall melt. It said, and I will bring again the captivity of my people of Israel, and they shall build the waste cities and inhabit them, and they shall plant vineyards and drink the wine thereof, and they shall also make gardens and eat the fruit thereof. This was not the verse I was looking for. And I will plant them upon their land, and they shall no more be pulled up out of their land, which I have given them, saith Yah. That's a fabulous verse, but that's not what I was looking for, because I think we read that the other day. Hold on, I'm gonna pull this one up. I want to pull this one up. Write that one down. No, that's necessary. I think we read that the other day. I read that the other day. Glory. Okay. Sit down, sweetheart. I believe it's in 9, though. Yeah, it's in 9. Okay. It's starting around verse 13. I could have just kept reading. Can somebody close the door, please? Verse 13, I believe it is. Yep. Yes, indeed. It won't be long. This is Yah's decree to his people. It will not be long. Things are going to happen so fast that your head will swim. One thing fast on the heels of the other. And that goes with the verse that I just read. That's why I guess the Holy Spirit took me to it. It goes with that, because the sower is on the heels of the reaper, and the reaper is on the heels of the heart. You know, it's just everything on top of each other. It is work to be blessed. And I believe that this is part of the thing that the Father wants me to help you understand tonight. Sit down or get out. This is what he wants me to help you understand tonight, that yes, he desires to bless us. However, if we don't have the ethic for the work that it takes to maintain and to receive this level of blessing, then what good is it giving it to us? What good is it? How is he going to be glorified? How's he going to be glorified? Because how are men going to see the good works that we're doing if we're not prepared for this level of works, for this level of receiving? Because it's all about positioning right now. And if we can't be trusted in the position that we're in now to manage our emotions, to manage our hearts and our minds in these spaces, then how in the world you know, there was a line many years ago, can you stand to be blessed? And there was a reason why that was because somebody came into the revelation, because they got into the position of blessing and realized this is work. It's work. It really just hit me like a ton of bricks today, as I was thinking about all the favor that's being extended to me, and how I'm walking into these places and people are like, yes, let's do that. Absolutely. But guess what? Now there is a production. Now there is something that has to be produced. And that's not difficult because I have the goods to produce it, but I still have to do the work. He said, I've given you the power to get wealth. And what is the purpose of you getting this wealth if I'm not able to establish my covenant in the wealth that you're getting? Because this is the purpose of you getting the wealth. This is the purpose of the blessing being on you. So that it's visible to other people. But there are some requirements. And that relationship is paramount. It's not just going to fall out of the sky. It's not going to just show up on the doorstep. Like literally, a lot of people, brother, they're sitting in their homes and they're waiting on a blessing. And what they don't understand is that the blessing is what you become in order to keep receiving the manifestation of it back to yourself. So if you're going out and entering places and spaces where what's on you is visible and causes the favor of Yah to be received back to you, then what are we doing? Please share.
Ooh, Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 1. And it will be, if you will listen diligently to my voice, your voice of Yahweh, your Father, observing and doing all his law, which I command you this day, then your Father will set you high above all the nations on earth, on earth, as his kings and priests. Understand? I'm not gonna go into the next part, but check this out. I'm gonna go into the next part. But this is a lifestyle. And remember, and I think about when you are in a play, okay? And you come in, get started, and they say, we're gonna have rehearsal. We have rehearsal for the next 3 weeks. Then after the 3 weeks is up, then they go into dress rehearsal.
Oh my.
See, dress rehearsal now, I'm wearing my clothes, all the props are in place, everything. But it takes work, it takes practice. Obedience, we gotta practice obedience. That's work. We gotta practice. That's work, and people don't want to. They don't want to be obedient. They don't want to be obedient, but they want the blessings. Because they used to say, "Listen, it's a lifestyle. We are in dress rehearsal, which means this is work. We got to practice obedience." Why? Because it has to be a lifestyle. And if it's not a lifestyle, you won't be able to get in or eternal glory. Why? Because you are not practicing dress rehearsal so when the curtain goes up, everybody can see. Now the finished product is there. I know my place. I know what to do. But people don't know what I've been through to get to that. I had to practice this over. Repetition is the school of learning. So therefore, when I practice and I'm practicing obedience and working, then he said, all these blessings will come upon you and accompany you because you obey Yahweh your Father.
That's the work. And the work is going to be challenged.
Absolutely. The
work is going to be
challenging. Listen, when you come to dress rehearsal, you ain't gonna feel good all the time. But you got to act, if my part says you got to be happy, you got to be joyous when there's sorrow. I got to do that.
Absolutely.
Even though if I'm not feeling right, you got to bring on some joy. Why? Because that's what is required. Because if you don't, something's going to be wrong when the curtain rise up.
Listen, I had a saying back in the day, brother, that most people are going to get to that space. And I would say that the curtain's going to rise and you're not going to know your lines. Now, how stupid does that look? You've been in all the rehearsals. You got the script. You made it to dress rehearsal, and you were still reading off the paper, which by dress rehearsal, you ain't supposed to have your paper.
That's right.
You're supposed to know your lines. You're supposed to know your plays. You're supposed to know your part. And this is why we are where we are, because we're no longer just in rehearsal. We're actually in the dress rehearsal for the curtain call.
Yes.
This is where we are prophetically. We're preparing for curtain call. And I'm not talking about the curtain call where everything is over. I'm talking about the curtain call where everything begins, where the sons get in their proper positions, their proper places, and it's showtime.
Go ahead. Go ahead. That's it. That's it. Woo.
It's showtime. Nope, it's Nana's. Take it to the kitchen. It's showtime.
She said it's not hers.
Mm-mm.
It is?
No, it's not mine.
Is it hers?
Granny's on live.
That's not fair.
Say something, brother.
And you know, it's just interesting because if you don't mind, I stay in chapter Deuteronomy chapter 28.
Go ahead, brother.
Because we love that the blessings and all like this and everything and without nothing. But however, when you get down to verse 15, the first word is saying, however, if you do not obey Yahweh your Father, and do not carefully follow all his laws and his statutes which I command you this day, then all these curses will come upon you and accompany you.
Just like the blessing overtakes, the curse can overtake.
Come on. And so we got this. If you practice obedience, will it take place? But if you practice disobedience, this is going to take place. And so we find ourselves, I just want the blessings. I don't want the curse. But it's interesting that we see more curses than we see blessings.
Oh my. Oh my.
And we try to figure out, why am I'm supposed to be blessed and this and that and the other. So we kind of camouflage, or we kind of bring deception on a blessing, but it's something that I've done to give an illusion that I'm blessed from Yah, and it's not, because your lifestyle is saying that you're not being obedient to Yahweh.
Oh my God. It's real.
So we see these curses. We see these curses because they're practicing, and understand this, they practice disobedience and it come to pass. They speak with false tongue and it come to pass.
Oh my God. Come on now.
They speak they speak so much negative energy, and I told somebody, I said, listen, just don't even say that.
Just shut up.
Because I was telling someone today, sis, they said, oh, I'm gonna send it back to the sender.
Oh my God.
And I said, okay, but you gotta understand, that person that said all this negative stuff, you want to send it back to this, that, oh, some witches is after me, and this is what's happening, but I'm this way, and this going on, and this a sickness, and that ain't happening, this and that. I said, yeah, you're gonna send it back to the sender. It's gonna boomerang, come right back to you, because you're the sender.
Period. What? Ain't no witch, no warlock, no nothing do nothing with a son of Yah unless there's an opening.
Absolutely.
The curse causeless doesn't come, just like the bird flying overhead doesn't land without a cause.
Come on.
If there's no cause, there was no landing. But instead of us desiring to correct where we have done some things incorrectly, we want to just make minor tweaks or adjustments in our thought process about what we're dealing with, because we don't really want to deal with the reality that we could be rebellious or disobedient or any of that. It couldn't be that. It couldn't be.
You know, and our disobedience and what we talk, we see when people say, "Well, I'm gonna name it and claim it." Well, they're naming and claiming the stuff don't happen, but when they go to naming and claiming the negative, then they see the things that happens
Quickly.
quickly. I say, don't you understand that this is your prayer that it came to pass? Because when I say, I tell them, this is your prayer. Because that Christian mindset of prayer is, oh, Father God,
Yeah.
come on down, come on down.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
you talking.
You
You
talk.
communicating, and all you saying is this ain't happening, that, and all of a sudden, my bills this, and my bills that, this and that and the other, and nothing ain't gonna happen, and this and that, and the next thing you know, it happens.
Yeah. You know
Yo,
why? I just thought about this. You know why it happens quicker when you're saying the negative stuff than it does when you quote unquote are saying the positive stuff, because who you are is where you speak from. As a
there you
manifestation,
go,
who
there
you
you go.
become is where you're talking from. And this is why you're manifesting what you're manifesting, because
There
you
you
have not become. You have not stepped into your divinity to speak from the place that the Mashiach spoke from when he walked on water, and when he stood on the boat and said, "Peace be still," and when he encountered the demoniac and said, "What's your name? Come out of him." You know, you gotta be what you're saying in order for you to see the manifestation of what you're saying. So I realize that there are some things that have shifted drastically, because it feels like I've shifted back into a certain level of favor. I always had favor. That's never been not a thing. However, the level of favor that is being expressed now is responding back to me favorably.
It's submitting to you.
It's submitting. It's submitting. Yeah.
Coming back to the sender.
It's coming back to the sender. Okay. It is returning to the sender. Absolutely. And when you think about that, hey, I told you guys your homework was to tell me what was created on day 4. So you could put that in the room. Day 4 of Genesis, because we may go there for a minute. But it's so funny that you mentioned that, and that we talked about the trauma a little bit, because that's a part of what I want to discuss this week as well. Because there are some traumas that people are dealing with, and if we don't know what the traumas are, your pages are being turned too loud. It's too loud. If we don't know what the traumas are, we don't know how to deal with them. Because we're being taught in religion just to cover stuff up. Because it's one thing to say something, but it's another thing to be something. It's one thing to try to speak to a place, or to get to a place. Because, people say, fake it till you make it. No. In order for you to make it, you're going to have to become something that is an alignment with what you become, with what you're trying to make it to. There has to be an alignment there. Day 4, what was created on day 4? Because what was created on day 4 is what begins to deal with mankind and the earth. Is it really the clocks that we're dealing with? The cycles that we're dealing with are a result of what was created on day 4. Anybody know what was created on day 4? He taking me in a whole nother direction. He reminded me of the day 4 thing. Put it in the room, and we'll shift gears when you put it in the room. Put it in the room. But let's go back to these winds for a minute, brother. Okay, hold on, Sophia. Let's go back to these winds for a minute, because the winds that we are speaking to right now have to do with what is coming out of man. And when we look at the prophet, and the question is asked, can these bones live again? The Father asked something very specific of him. He said, speak to the winds. Speak to, that's Ezekiel. Speak to the winds. Prophesy to the winds. Tell the winds what to do. Tell the winds this. Say this to the winds. He gave them very specific. He didn't just say prophesy. He said, say this. And when Ezekiel said that, he began to prophesy to the winds, then things began to move. The bones began to come together. Why? Because everything is being held together by the word of Yah's power. So when we're not speaking Yah's word, we're not operating his power, which means nothing is moving. Nothing is happening. Brother?
Yes, yes, yeah. When we don't speak what he said, his breath, it's not happening. And we have to, when he blew the breath of life into Adam, that meant then when he spoke everything, when he named the animals in the garden, that was Yahweh speaking. Yahweh gave, he spoke what Yahweh spoke. He heard what Yahweh heard. And when he spoke it, it came to life. The animals responded to the name of who they were. The breath. And so it's interesting because we associate that breath, here's the trumpet, the shofar. And so so it's like what's in your breath? Do your breath stink or is it pure?
I love
Do
that.
you have stinky breath or do you have pure breath? Does your breath give life? Or they back in the day in the church, the altar workers, and I tell you, they'd be tearing folks. Say, now when you get up there, make sure you done have some gum and you want your mouth minty. Because as a teenager, I would be up there and people be praying, and the breath just stank. They Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. My mouth said, Jesus, shut up. Your breath stank.
You say they
I
call
can't
it
even,
Jesus, you call it Jesus too.
right. I need help. I can't even get a breakthrough. They said, let it go. Loose, loose here, loose here. You know,
You
loose
know,
here,
strike
loose
the
here. Come on. And I'm like, they need rebuking because their breaths literally stink.
Okay, get up. Okay, get up.
And so and then it's so the breath of Yah is refreshing. It gives life. And when people are speaking, they're not speaking, they prophesy. Folks are prophesying every day. When they speak, either you speak in Yah or you
Absolutely.
speak in the enemy.
That's it. That's
There's
it.
no in between.
There is no in between.
Because your breath, when you speak, it goes into your breath is like a spirit. And the spirits in the atmosphere will catch it and take it where it needs to go.
Oh my God, the vehicles of the spirit that
But, but,
carry the pneuma, the breath of man, to its
woo!
final destination.
Check this out. There's some place I want to read because a lot of people are like, I'm like, y'all, you need to be quiet talking so much because you know what? Your breath, your mouth has it's a lot. And I'm gonna read this. And
It's a lot.
where where is it at? Okay, where are you? But anyway,
You'll find it.
yeah, I'm gonna find it.
Yep, you're gonna
Oh
find it.
my.
It's serious.
Yeah. Where are you at? Okay.
Mm-mm. I'm gonna say this while you're looking for it.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, I got it.
Got it? Okay, cool.
Ecclesiastes chapter 10. And I like reading verse 19. It says, a feast is made for laughter, And
Yes,
wine is
sir.
made for making life pleasant, but money is made for everything. But here's the 20th verse. Do not speak, do not curse the king, even in your thoughts. Do not curse the rich, even in your bedroom. For a bird of the air may carry your voice, and that which has wings will tell what you say.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah,
So when we prophetic people prophesying, the voice is being carried,
that's right. Yeah,
and
that's
it's
a
going
fact.
to tell. It's going to tell what you say. Now, the voice of Yahweh. If it's the voice of Yahweh, because every Malik, in the atmosphere know the voice of Yahweh, and they respond to the voice of Yahweh because they will come subject to who Yahweh is, Yah, the great
That's
I
right.
am.
That's right.
If the voice is not of Yah, that voice is carried out, it's going to be carried out, and what is it going to produce? It's going to tell what you say. It's going to tell off on you. It's going to tell off. And people say, people say, your ears itching? I was
I'm
talking about
screaming.
you.
I'm screaming. Listen. Listen.
Oh, but
No, when you talking about that, though, I was thinking about Joshua. And this
hmm
is how important it is to be in the right place and to have some understanding of things because we're not in a season of guessing. We're just no longer in the season where we can guess things.
you're right. You're
Try
right.
to, we it's some stuff we're called to know. We are called to know things, not to guess.
Hmm.
So when you were talking about that, I was thinking about Joshua and how he was able to identify the angelic agent and the Malik, and he was also able to follow the instruction that was given. You remember you were reading the conversation about sending the angel before the people, right? That Yah was sending the angel, the angelic agent before the Hebrews. But this particular thing, Joshua is now in command, and he is confronted with an angel. He's confronted with something, and then he asks him this question, and just this is something that I'm still pondering that I think is so profound. He asks him, um, he says, "Are you for us or against us?" And it's something that the angel said that reminds me of what the Father said of the
Come on,
angel that he
sis.
was
Come
sending,
on, sis. Yes, come on.
because he told the people, how you move around and deal with each other, how you deal with me, that's one thing. But my angels are not as forgiving as me. They don't let things go. Like they only adhere, like you just said, they adhere to my word. So if it's something that's not in alignment, they got to deal with that. They got to address that. So here we are in Joshua. What is this? This is chapter 5. And he asked this question. He said, "Are you for us or against us?" And verse 14, this is what the angel says. He says, he says, nay. He said, neither. I'm not for you or against you. Uh-oh. That means angels are neutral. Did you hear that?
Mm.
They can go either way. That adds a whole nother dimension to an angelic agent, don't it?
Ooh-wee.
To know
Mm-mm.
that they can go either way. If you remember that verse that's in, I believe it's in Deuteronomy, or it might be in
Mm-hmm.
Exodus, where the Father says to them, don't cross him, no, don't cross the angel I'm sending with you, though.
Right, right, right.
Don't cross them
Mm-hmm.
because they're not good with that kind of stuff. You
Mm-mm.
know,
Mm-mm.
this angel said, after Joshua said, "Are you for us or for our adversaries?" He said, "Neither. But as a captain of the host of Yah, I am now come." So I was sent. But how I'm going to move is based on what's going on in the environment. And Joshua fell on his face to the earth and did worship and said unto him, what saith my Lord unto his servant? Now he wants to know, okay, what do I need to do? And the captain of the Lord's host said unto Joshua, or Yeshua, which is Joshua's name in Hebrew, Yeshua, just like the one that the Father sent, loose thy shoe from off thy foot, for the place whereon thou standest is holy. And Joshua did so. Oh boy.
And follow up with that in Ecclesiastes chapter 5, verse 6. Do not let your mouth cause your body to sin. Do not say in the presence of Amalek of Yah, it was a mistake. Why should Yahweh be angry by what you say and destroy the work of your hands? Don't say to the Malak, it's just I made a mistake. No, you don't understand a mistake. Your mouth done got you in trouble. I didn't mean to say it. You said it. You supposed to be righteous, and you said this. So listen. I'm going to do what I got to do. I'm not either for. What I'm for is righteousness, what Yahweh says. And if you're right, I'm with you. If you're wrong, I'm against you. But don't say it's a mistake.
Don't say
I didn't mean to say it. Yeah, I didn't mean to say that. But what you're saying is, I made a mistake. I lied. I'm just telling what it is. Please forgive me. I forgive me. But don't say it's a mistake in front of Malik, because understand this: our mouth will cause our bodies to sin if we don't watch what we say, because we have these angelic agents angelic in front of us, around us, and if necessary, they will manifest themselves in front of you. You can see them without the wings.
Minus the wings. Look on that basket right there, Sophia. That is so funny. Yeah, minus the wings. My God. Now, this is what all the disruption is about, because it affords us the opportunity. There's your shirt right there. It affords us the opportunity to begin to speak what we need to speak. And I promise you, at times it's very frustrating. So I'm not telling you that there aren't times when how things are moving around you and things are happening around you is not frustrating. But you have to, just like the master was able to have a resolve. He had a word in his mouth because of what he applied himself to daily. He applied himself daily to the relationship. And because he applied himself daily to the relationship, he had a word in the roughest time. It was automatic. It's just like I was sharing with you the other day, brother, that I was seeing some stuff that was put up and I saw it, but I didn't see it. It's the same thing I experienced as a young person, where I was in a space and I was, in that space, and there was a lot of things being said, but some stuff just went over my head. But it was going over my head because there was a call. There was something specific that needed to be realized, something specific that needed to be expressed. And so that was not a part of my expression. And so the Father kept me from that. He kept me from that. Say something, brother.
I as you were talking, um, uh, something you were prophesying earlier, and I don't know, it just jumped back in my head. I know it may be off where you left off at, but it came in my mind so strongly about the where we at today. The sons of Yah have to move in knowing. We got to know. We got to know. We can't operate in no faith, little faith, or in great faith. We got to operate in knowing faith. And we got to know what we're talking about. We got to know what we're saying. And, because there's a time when you walk in knowing, people say, "Oh, you arrogant. You think you better." Well, see, now it doesn't matter because what we know is what Yahweh says. We got to know what Yahweh says. We can't be guessing. And that just popped back in my head. We got to know. We got to know. We got to know without a doubt. That's that just came up. It just came up again. Maybe it was a
Yeah,
delay from what you were saying earlier, but we're in the knowing now. We are in the knowing. This is no guesswork. We are the sons of Yah, the sons and daughters of Yah. If somebody want to say daughters, yes, the sons of Yah. We are in the knowing. We are in the knowing because we will speak. Yah has put it in us. When we know, we speak it, and we speak with that authority. We speak with His authority, His as His commandments. He said, "Hear my commandments. Now use them. You do this. When you speak in me. When you speak in me. You got to. We got to know that we know that we know." So it, when you said it, it resonated in my spirit, but it really blossomed when you was talking. It said, "You got to know. You got to know. And if you don't know, if you don't know, then there's an opening for the enemy to come in. There's a opening for something to come in to disrupt, to change your way of thinking. You got to know."
gotta know.
So that was in that was it.
Yeah, I believe that was his desire to kind of push on that a little bit more. The fact that knowing is the only avenue for sons. And we read a little bit about it last night, how not to fall. That fall is the outcome of whatever you are or attempting to achieve or walking towards achieving. How do you not fail? How do you not fall? Because there is a regimen, there is a recipe. But if we never apply ourselves to reading the recipe, how can we ever make what it is we're trying to make? What the Father is doing in us, we've never done this before. I want to say that again. The scripture talks about when the children of Israel were in the wilderness, and this is at the time when those others were dying off and the other ones were kind of wandering around, and they had already been in a direction, but he said, "We've never been this way before. We've not been this way before." So the ark has to go in front of you. My instruction has to go in front of you. The remembrance of who I am, because there's the tablets are in this ark, and this showbread. I'm sorry, and this manna is in this ark. It's stuff in this ark that's being kept. This rod that has budded. I have evidence along the way to prove to you that I'm with you, to prove to you that I've called you, to prove to you that I desire you, to prove to you that I have an assignment for you. But if you don't let my instruction go before you, you've never been this way before, you will not arrive. You won't arrive. I don't care how many verses we read, how many tongues we speak in. If we don't follow the instructions of Yah, we won't arrive at the destined place, which means whatever the expression that is supposed to be released so that it can be sent back to the sender, returned to the sender, it won't be no reception of it, because we won't be in the location to receive it.
Mm-mm-mm.
They said that the sun, the moon, and the stars was created on the fourth day. The sun, the moon, and the stars. Now, what does that have to do with us? It has a lot to do with us, because the Father created these particular creatures for time and seasons and cycles, and those are different. Time, seasons, and cycles are different. Time is one thing, Seasons are another. And I know somebody say, well, aren't seasons on time? Not always, because have you never had an Indian summer in the middle of the winter? Was it not winter? It was winter. The weather was just doing something different. And we called it an Indian summer, right? Times, seasons, and cycles are moving according to the sun, the moon, and the stars. Matter of fact, according to the lunar cycle, is how we, as sons of Yah, in the Hebrew culture, identify the times and seasons. That's how we identify that, because we are dealing with the lunar cycle. So at new moon, that's the beginning of every month. That's why this can't be the new year, because we're in the 7th month. But see, when we're listening to things, and you will come into stuff, because I remember the first time that I was sitting here thinking about that. I remember the very first time. This is why I don't get upset with folks, because I remember the first time that I was stepping into this space. I was hearing the call of Yah. I was studying. I was looking at stuff. I was stepping into this space, and I was kind of moved a little bit by the culture, the industrial complex of religious things, that culture. And I was like, oh, this is amazing. Okay, so it's a whole nother season. It's a whole nother situation going on, because he had been drawing me into some things, and I'm trying to get my bearings about me, right? Only to realize that it wasn't ahead of the year. It wasn't a new year yet. And the Father was going to put me in direct opposition of that. Now, do you know that I've had people several times attempt to correct me over the years, by the way, over the years of me studying this. But you know why? Because they are still stuck where I've already come from. They're stuck in that paradigm that I've already come from. I was there. I listened to it all. I studied it. And now I'm no longer there, because just stepping into it, having a desire to do the will of God, opened up the revelation of what he really desired and what it really was. The truth was made available because I desired to do his will. But a lot of people are getting stuck because all they desire is to know something new, something fresh. And so they think, oh, that's revelation, that's new, that's fresh. Okay, great. But are you applying yourself to study of the word concerning the thing that you feel like is being revealed to you? Paul said this to the Bereans. He said, listen, yeah, they do the right thing, because whatever I say, they're going to search it out. People aren't searching out what they're hearing anymore. We're just blindly doing things, no longer searching out anything. That sun, that moon, and that star is that marker that's going to create those times, those seasons, those cycles. And if you don't have the wisdom of the season and understand that your circle is creating a cycle for you, then you're not going to be in the right place at the right time. But it takes wisdom to know those things, and to know that you can step out of chronological time into kairos. You can step out of chronology into eternity as you are walking and breathing and living as a human being on the earth. You say, well, how is that possible? Well, I mean, we got a whole bunch of suns that we can look at to show us that these are the facts, that this is real. When do we start believing what we read? When do we start believing what we see? When do we start desiring the encounter and positioning ourselves for that so that we can have the encounter? And when the encounter happens, do we believe it and desire to get a deeper revelation of the encounter that we have? Because most people just call it weird. Well, I had this situation. It was really weird. No, it was really Yah trying to take you into another dimension of things. But you're so caught up in your flesh, you're so caught up in your world, that you don't understand that there is another world, that there are other dimensions that are waiting on you to show up. They're waiting on your arrival. Your next dimension is waiting on your arrival. You're not waiting on it to show up. You got to get to it, which means you have to become something to even know the direction that it's in. Do you remember when the Father called Abraham out of Ur of the Chaldees, when he called him away from his family? Where in the Bible does it say that he had a map to get to where he was going? Did you ever read that? There's nothing in there that indicates that he was given any directions, but his relationship with the Father was an internal divine GPS system that led him directly to the space and to the spot and to the place that was going to become an inheritance for his people. Now, did things happen after Abraham was gone? Yep. People backfilled those wells. They were jealous. They were angry. But then his son came along and redug those wells. He redug them, but it was work. And every time he redug a well, they were contending or fighting or arguing over, oh, this our well, this our. And then he had a conversation with one that was a head guy. He said, I didn't even know nothing about this, that your father dug this and that the people was fighting over and all that. He said, no, this is what's happening. But guess what they did? They kept on digging. They kept on working. They were inspired to continue. And by the time they got to that last well, they got to Rehoboth. By the time they got to that last well, it was many heads. It wasn't just one stream. It wasn't just one river. It was multiple heads. And now it was undeniable. And guess what? There was no more contending because they didn't even know that was there. Now you backfilled these other wells so you knew it was there and you could try to take charge of it. But there's a space that the Father's taken the sons to, that even those that have stored up the riches for us or the hidden treasures in darkness, all of that, they don't even know about this level of wealth that the Father's about to do. They don't even know about this level of wealth that the Father's about to allow us to be visibly operating in. They don't have a clue about this level. They have never seen it. And all the times of them being, receiving information and intel from the spirits that were giving them intel, they had no clue of this space and this place. But the Father's revealing it to the sons in this season so that we can walk in it. Say something, brother.
Yes, and it's interesting that as you journeyed us through that, and we come to a place where Yeshua with the woman at the well.
Say that again, brother.
The Samaritan woman at Jacob's well.
Oh, absolutely.
And so now, and it's interesting that she's there and have this conversation and what have you, because now he's saying, now there's something that's going to be totally different and new. That because just about at the end of the conversation, he had to get her attention. He said, hey, you've had 5 and the one you with ain't yours. Oh, you're a prophet. You the man. you who are you? But I want some of this water of life. And I won't have to thirst again. But it's interesting because just about it, he said he let her know, no longer will you worship here in the mountain at the how y'all used to after these spirits. No longer will the worship will be in Jerusalem because the Messiah comes from the tribe of Yada. That's where he comes from.
Yeah.
But y'all don't even know him. But so she said, now they that worship me must worship me in spirit and truth. Because so when I associate that going back to the moon and the sun, the greater light by day, the lesser light by night.
Yeah.
We see that divide. But he's doing something new now for the sons. And he's bringing that balance. He's bringing it back. Because now we can see in because in the daytime we see the sun. And then at night we see the moon at night. But what's showing up now is a sign for the sons of Yah. We're seeing the sun and the moon in the same sky. In the same sky. The sun and the moon. I took pictures, I took videos. I took videos of it today.
I saw it yesterday. It happened yesterday.
You see, it's more visible now. It's not that it said it did happen, but y'all said, I'm going to reveal, and you're going to see But for the sons of Yah, now what does that mean now? Because it goes, well, as you go back to Genesis, and he said, now what's going to be new? What's going to be the difference is now I'm bringing it back to the very thing that says, hey, here's the sun and the moon together in the same sky. Here's the balance. We see something, and so when we see this in the sky, we know the sons of Yah know that Yah is doing something. Oh, what is he doing? That what was split and separated, he's bringing back together again to bring balance. Balance. And only the sons of Yah can do that.
Yep. Yep. And only the sons of Yah recognize or have understanding or revelation of why that's happening.
Yes.
And that's what causes us to align ourselves and understand the season that we're in. Understand the time that we're in. Because this very same season is the season of the return. That's why every year you hear people talk about, oh, he's going to return this year. It's soon. But guess what? It's the season. He said, no man knows the day nor the hour. See, here we go with these things, right? They don't know the exact day, nor do they know the exact hour. But the season is not discussed. Because we are to know it's not going to overtake us like an armed robber. He said that about people that don't know him. It's going to be a thief in the night for them. Just like the wise virgins that had oil in their lamps. Their lamps were trimmed and burning, and they had excess oil. They had reserves. They were prepared because they understood the hour. The foolish virgins didn't have a clue of the hour. They didn't value the hour of his coming. They didn't even come prepared. They thought they had time to walk through this thing without what they needed and to have time to go get something. Well, they really thought they was just going to borrow the oil of those that came prepared.
Oh my.
When you're talking about this divide, you're not going to be able to borrow nobody's oil. So that's why the Father's bringing us into a day. And it's not that, he's not going to allow people to still speak to people's need and, lay hands on the sick and they'll recover and all of these things. These are things. However, there is going to come an hour where you're going to need to know something as a son of God, and you're not going to be able, as a son, to wait on somebody to lay hands on you. You know what I was thinking about the other day? The scripture that came up, and it just came up again when I just said that. It said, whether there be prophecies, they will cease. I'm going to go to that scripture real quick because I want to show you something. I'm going to show you something. It says right here in 1 Corinthians.
I love it.
Yeah, 1 Corinthians chapter 13. It said, love never fails.
Come on now.
We could just end the broadcast right there. Y'all go do your study. Go do your own study. If you don't have a revelation of love yet,
oh my goodness.
If you don't have a revelation of his love towards you, you don't have a revelation of how you should be loving nobody.
Come on now. Come on.
He said,
Come
love
on,
never fails. He said, but whether there be prophecies, they shall fail. Whether there be tongues, they shall cease. Whether there be knowledge, it shall vanish away. Is he saying that these things aren't valuable? Absolutely not. But there comes a time when the prophet, you have to become the prophecy. So now speaking the word is now failing because it's the season of being the word.
Complete truth. Complete.
There comes a time where tongues stop, where we stop talking and we start walking out what we've been talking about. This is why tongues cease. Don't tongues relate to communication?
Mm-hmm.
What did he tell us in this season? If you are son of Yah, you have heard, just like I have, shut up. Don't say nothing. This is the fulfillment of the scripture. We're in the hour that John was told, don't seal up the book, because this prophetic word is for a time that is near. It's for a time that is near. It said, whether there be knowledge, it shall vanish away. You know why? Because when you think you know what you don't know, and it doesn't serve you well, then you don't know. It don't even matter what you thought you knew. And when you realize you don't know, and you step into the revelation of knowing what is true, then the knowledge that you had before, which was just earthly sensual knowledge, vanishes away. There's lots of knowledge available. But you got two different kinds of wisdom, and you got two different kinds of knowledge. So the question is this. It's a time of knowing. But what's in the house is going to determine whether you are walking in this kind of revelation or this knowing to know how to do what you do. The Bible talks about the sons of Issachar, right? Who understood the times and knew what Israel ought to do. This is the son that the Father is calling for in this hour. These are the sons that are rising. They know what the body ought to do.
Yes,
they know how the body ought to move. Because they are very well adept at the times and the seasons. They notice things like the sun and the moon being in the sky at the same time. And they begin to get a word around that conversation. It's like brother sharing tonight. That's why I told y'all put it up in the room, because it has something to do with tonight. He's going to address it. The Father's going to address it. There is a balance. There is a balance that's taking place. The conversation that we need to have is what's in the house. Because you know that sukkah is that open space. It's open. It's no door on it.
No.
People put curtains on it now, but I believe it was still an open space. It was open. You could see through the roof at times, because you could see straight into the heavens when you're laying down. Even though there were leaves there, you could see. You know, every spot wasn't filled. It wasn't meticulously weaved, you know, but it was open. Why was it open? Because it needed to be open to what was going to come in and out of it. We need to be open to the spirit of Yah. We need to be open to his spirit, and we need to be mindful of what's in the house. Because what's in the house, what we're looking at right now, that's in the house of the religious industrial complex, there is absolutely too much mixture for me. When I tell you this mixture enough to make you vomit for the rest of your life, it's enough to make you sick for the rest of your life. Certain things you just can't mix together. The holy and the profane can't be mixed together. What's divine and what's diabolic should never be mixed together. Yet this is what we're looking at. I was looking at something yesterday, and the man was so upset. He was trying to show the video. He was so pissed off. He was so pissed off. He was like, look at this mess. Would you look at this mess? He was showing one of the people's heroes. You know, we love these people because what happens is people that we say are important or celebrities bring somebody in, and then they become the person until they're not the person no more because the people in blackballed them or whatever, right? But they bring these things on the scene. And when they bring these things on the scene, people are not understanding that there is a release that's taking place because people are gravitating and they're drawn to this thing. So the man was talking about how there's such a mixture. He was talking about how there's witches in the pulpit. Oh, there have been witches in the pulpit for a long time. This is not new. However, it is more blatant because before the witches were not trying to be known as witches or they at least covered their tracks a lot better. Now people are just bringing people from outside who are high priestesses, and all kinds of stuff, and they are literally bringing them in to communicate with the people who they're saying are Yah's people
In the sanctuary. Oh my
in what
goodness.
they're calling the sanctuary. And I'm using my words the way that I'm using them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm using my words the way that I'm using them. What they're calling the sanctuary, because we're really the sanctuary now. We are. We are the tabernacle. We are the temple. We are the sanctuary. And we are the eternal sukkah that never gets old. We are all of that. So now we got to deal with the mixture, and we got to sweep the house, and we got to fill the house, because all of these foreign altars and all of this stuff is not being discerned.
Mm-hmm.
These diabolic attempts of darkness are being given a pass in every way. And we say things like we don't want to do church as usual, but we come and we do the same thing. And it's funny to me because I don't care where I've been in the last several years. If Father has ever called me into a place called a church, I don't care where I've been, the people are depressed. There is
Mm-hmm.
no joy in the house. People are depressed. They're oppressed. They have no joy. They don't even know what rejoice means. They don't even know what worship is. And it is the scariest place that I've ever seen in my life. I've never seen anything like it. It's crazy. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, they can't be lifted. They can't be lifted. It's like it's the craziest thing. Now I'm seeing people be freed, when I do my thing. But I'm saying in general, there is just a cloud over the places that just renders the people almost helpless.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
yet we're still coming into what they're calling the sanctuary and just doing the same thing over and over again,
Mm-hmm.
as if the repetition is going to break the spirit of oppression, as if our
Mm-hmm.
repetition is going to break the spirit of depression. The
No.
repetition is going to break the spirit of poverty. That repetition is not breaking anything.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
Say something, brother.
Sis, being at one time being into psychology and being a therapist and things like that. And you could go back as far in the 70s and the 80s when we would deal with clients who just were oppressed, just loaded. Then we dealt with those who were depressed. And it was separate. There was oppression and there was depression. And people, we dealt with the oppression and we dealt with the depressed. So now we're dealing with oppression and depression all at the same time. Now it came together
Yeah,
and nobody don't know what to do with it because it's a mixture.
it's a
It's
mixture.
all together now. And this is why we go you could go into places in the industrial complex in different places and you see that like you said, there's no joy. There's no this because people are oppressed and depressed. Because we talk about that depression, you talk about the inner part that now becomes demonic, and then people oppressed with all kinds of stuff on their shoulders, on them. Because I could tell, back in the day, I could tell people when they were oppressed with a heavy load of because the back would bend. There will be a curvature in the back in the
Say
neck
so.
area.
That's
Yeah,
it.
because that was identified when people are oppressed. And I didn't have to, get real deep. I'm like, you weighted with stuff on you. Well, yeah, I said, because I want you to know there's a lump in your back, a curve, and you bent over like you're
Oh my
carrying
God.
a weight.
Mm, mm,
And I said, we're going to deal with this. And we deal with this to set them free. They start straightening up. But then there are those who are depressed. That stuff that's on the inside that nobody really sees. And it becomes
that's right.
demonic.
That's right.
So people are heavily oppressed and depressed today. And sitting up there and from the pulpit, the lead can't do nothing because not guess, the leaders are in the same position. And so as you talk about that mixture, that warm y'all say, you know what? I'm like you. It's sickening. It make you want to think I'm gonna spew you out of my mouth. This warm place because you want me to taste sin, and I'm not gonna do it. You want sin to be right there with me. Oh, I'm not gonna do it. And right now, it is so. The look, he's, I'm gonna get rid of it. Either you're gonna be hot or cold. You're gonna be black or white. I'm getting rid of this.
That's it.
I'm getting ready
Not
because
gonna
you're
be
making me
both.
sick.
It's
I
not gonna be
can't.
both.
You're making me sick.
Yeah.
And Yahweh sick? No. Before he gets sick, I'm gonna deal. I'm,
Don't
I'm
throw
gonna
it up.
spew you out of mouth. I'm throwing it out. I'm
Yeah.
gonna puke this stuff up. I'm like you. This mixture
It's
is
crazy.
ugly. It
It's
is ugly.
absolutely crazy. I never seen nothing like it. I was speaking the other week, and it was such a funny situation because I was kind of on a time limit, which is foreign to me. Um, but I wanted to follow the instructions, and as I was speaking, I was sharing something very specific, and it was odd because somebody came up to me after the service was over and said the opposite of what I said. They were so excited about me saying these things, but what they said, I was saying the opposite of. And they began to talk about divine feminine energy and all, and this is what I was speaking against. But this is what they were saying back to me, and I was like, wow. And it was the Father showing me this stuff is right here in the sanctuary. So you read this either today or yesterday, brother, where you were talking about, and you brought this into my sanctuary. You brought this into my sanctuary. This unclean, this defiled thing has been brought into the sanctuary. Because see, they had protocols back then. Their ushers,
Mm-hmm.
let me tell you something. Their ushers was checking for the circumcision.
Come on now.
Listen, you but now what church is totally opposite. Church is who else, everybody can come. But that ain't the same thing as what was written in this day and in that time. So we can't, oh, it's a different time now. No, 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 no. Foundations should never be moved. The
Mm-hmm.
landmark should never be moved.
Never be moved.
But man
Right.
has moved the landmark. And why man has moved the landmark is so that darkness can get in
Mm.
and the doctrine can change.
Mm.
So the landmark was moved by a diabolic conversation. And now that the landmark is moved, it's open season.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So this is how witches get in pulpits
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and lead people astray
Mm-hmm.
because
Mm-hmm.
the landmark has been moved and nobody's checking for the circumcision anymore.
Nope. Nope.
Nobody's checking to see. Nobody, back in the day when I was growing up, people knew it was a discernment that was on a whole nother level. You could walk in a building and the whole service stopped.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
all eyes is on the door because the prophet is standing at the front. They like, bring that girl here.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Just walked in here. Bring her here.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because
Mm-hmm.
they discerned what was in their midst.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's checking for the circumcision anymore.
The gate.
They
See.
want goosebumps. They want to feel something,
Mm-hmm.
whatever they need to feel to give them their fix.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They don't want to be changed anymore.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They just want to hide for a moment. but not a change.
Mm-hmm.
But the ark promotes instructions that bring change.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that change also produces protection for the sons because the mindset is a shift. The mindset shifts. And we understand who we are and who he is. Now we position ourselves to do the work because the blessing is connected to the work that we're given to do. But if we never know what the work is, then how can we be blessed? We're not just blessed because we say it. Those are all of the things that we've been given over the years to just say something. Yeah, you got to be mindful of what you say, but just saying something to say it doesn't mean anything. It don't mean nothing. If you don't become it, then how do you enforce it? You got to enforce it. There are a lot of failed expectations, and these expectations are triggering a variety of these emotional responses that we're looking at in people. I want to go over those emotional responses tomorrow. I think brother's not going to be here with me tomorrow. But brother, let's just go over some of them tonight, and then I'm going to let them go because I really want to pray into the breaking the power of these emotional responses that are triggering the people. I'm just going to name them. You guys can write them down. I'll give you definitions of them tomorrow. But a lot of these feelings that are coming as a result of failed expectations, but it's because our hope is in something and not in him. Our faith is in a thing and not in him. Our knowledge is of stuff and not in him. So when things happen that it feels like our expectation is not met or things don't go our way, then we are disappointed. That's one of those emotional responses. Frustrated, sad, angry, hopeless, regret, guilt, anxiety, betrayal, confusion, inadequacy, resentment, fear, shame, demotivation. These things are showing up in people because their faith is in something and not in him. Because he told us, hurry up and close that door while they blowing those horns. The word told us already how to never fall. So if our hope was in him and in what he said, and we trusted what he said, and we could repeat back what he said with confidence, then these things, resignation, embarrassment, loneliness, jealousy. Oh yeah, I'm doing a whole nother list now. Yeah. Bitterness, grief, apathy, insecurity, vulnerability, self-doubt, cynicism, shock, impatience, and self-resentment. Oh yes, lists and lists of these things. The Father wants to deal with these things because these are a result of our lack of understanding and identifying what we're going to let in the house. There's mixture. And because there's mixture, these are the things that are, what did the word say? Be sober. These are the things that are making mankind drunk. These are the things that are making us drunk. Say something, brother.
I just know that on tomorrow I'll be in another space with another group of people. But please record.
Say that again, brother.
I said, please record for tomorrow.
Yes.
Because that that is something that is powerful. What you I mean, we're very powerful because there's so many people in the industrial complex, Hebrew Israelites, people are dealing with that.
Yeah.
Those some one or two or three of those things, people are dealing with it, and it's time now to deal with it. It is.
Yeah.
It's time to deal with it because if I'm just dealing with frustration, and if people that don't mean nothing, but it's something that been there. I'm frustrated all the time.
Mm-mm.
What brings me to being frustrated? Why am I being frustrated? What's there?
Mm.
Because I'm frustrated. I cannot walk in the fullness
Nope.
because I'm frustrated. And
No.
you and people think it's okay,
You
but
can't
it's
even
not
hear.
okay.
You
You
can't
can't
even
even
hear.
hear. Right. So that's it's going to be powerful on tomorrow. Uh, and I'm telling you, for those who are listening, that that is it, for that to come forth on tomorrow. Some of you going to be opened up because it's a time for deliverance to be
It is.
set free. And when it comes to that, just this is you're going to recognize some things within you. And it says, okay, y'all, not my will, your will be done. Let this thing be that's in me come out of me. Let me be delivered from this.
Mm-hmm.
Every person should be inviting somebody on tomorrow because
Mm-hmm.
she read a list that I know. We've been doing this for a long time, and some of you all know
Mm-hmm.
in leadership that people from the pulpit, apostles, prophets, evangelists, teachers, pastors, bishops, deacons, mama, husbands, wives, fathers, mothers, children, grandchildren, dealing with this.
Mm-hmm.
This is powerful. This is powerful. And you should invite somebody to tune in on tomorrow because your deliverance is right there
It
to
is.
be set free.
It is. It is. And Father, we just thank you tonight for the revelation of the deliverance that is needed for us in this hour because there are a lot of people that have prolonged trauma, prolonged issues that lead to trauma that prevent them from being open, that prevent them from receiving, that prevent them from being positioned. And we take authority over the mind bending of darkness. This
Mhm.
mind bending that comes to bend the mind. It doesn't understand anything. It can't conceptualize anything. It can't gather itself to form any identity or definition of anything. It just, if it don't line up in a way that's working for them, it just don't make sense. Father, we thank you for revelation. We thank you for the light
Hallelujah.
breaking through the darkness, even
Yes,
tonight,
yes.
even as we have called out these various areas that trigger these operations, these places of operation that a lot of people are dealing with right now that prevent them from coming into the purity of worship, even. It prevents them from the spirit and truth of worship. We thank you right now that you're not only calling the names of these things, but that you're breaking the power of these things off of the
Yes,
life
yes.
of the sons of Yah, off of the life of their family members, off of the life of those that are in their spheres of influence, Father. That this is a week where we're going to begin to see the burden be lifted, the load be lighter,
Mhm.
that the people of
Mm.
Yah are going to begin to identify the fact that you said that your yoke was easy and your burden was light. That means whatever they're carrying now is not your yoke and it's not your burden.
Oh my, hallelujah.
So we thank you that even now they're desiring your yoke and your burden because that's the easy part. It's easy. We thank you right now that as you're causing us to rise and as you're causing the blessing to overtake us, that you are giving us the wisdom of the season, the wisdom of these cycles, the
Mm.
wisdom of time.
Yes.
We thank you right now that as you're causing favor to be the expression that we're receiving back because of what we're becoming, Father, that we have sufficient grace, that we understand that we have sufficient grace to walk this out. We recognize that it's work. There is work involved, but it's the same thing that it was with the first Adam. When he was in alignment, you were able to have conversations every day and get things done. But when he came out of alignment, it became toilsome. We don't desire to toil in this season. We want to align ourselves with your will and with your way. And we declare today, not our will, but your will be done. As the people of Yah all over the world, wherever they are, as they are declaring, not my will, but yours be done, Father. I thank you that it's just that simple, that the load is being lifted.
Mm-hmm.
That the load is being lifted because they are laying down their will. They're laying down their desires.
Yes.
They're laying
Yes.
down their way of doing things. And they're taking on the mind that is the Christ, so that the expression that comes out of us will bring you glory
Yes.
in every space that we're in every place that we go to, every place that we're sent. May your light be so prevalent upon us because of this alignment in this hour that it causes a shift in the places that we go in, whether we're in the grocery store, whether we're paying bills or whatever it is. May your glory be so prevalent upon us that nations come to that light and kings to the brightness of our rising, because we're making a decision to rise and to shine. And we know that we can't rise or shine under oppression, but it's the time for us to get up because revelation has come. And now we know that we are royalty. And now we know that the shout of our king goes before us. And now we know that there is a set of instructions that if we follow the set of instructions, these divine instructions are going to lead us to each divine destination, almost like we're on vacation. That's what I see. It's almost like we're on vacation and we're getting on one flight to the next to get to the next place. We thank you for it now. We declare it so. Brother, you want to weigh in on that conversation or that declaration concerning the people of Yah?
I'm in agreement.
Amen.
That's it. I'm in agreement.
Absolutely.
Before the foundation of the world, we are in agreement with Yah, what was already spoken now. We've caught up with it, and it is so.
Absolutely. I saw it like we were just kind of jumping on flights,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
you know, and we were going from one place to the next.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Those are those
mm-hmm.
dimensions, those divine destinations that the Father desires us to be in.
Yeah,
And
you
it
know,
just really
just
became a joy,
mm-hmm,
you know,
mm-hmm.
to get
And it's
on.
interesting,
Go ahead.
interesting, sis, that you said that because you kind of hit on that, the dimension. Because what people need to understand when we ascend and we go into dimensions, the dimensions are in the paranormal area. He has to prepare us because there are those who are waiting for us in dimensions to get for things to be right. Because we deal with this of the middle realm, the paranormal realm, where all these dimensions are at. People need help and they're waiting. They're waiting for deliverance of things to be set straight in these dimensions. That there's so many dimensions in the atmosphere. for us to begin to take flight, as you said, to fly, to go from here to there without no turbulence, without no trouble,
And without no
see,
wing.
without no wind. That
I couldn't
I'm done.
I
I'm
couldn't resist.
done.
I
I'm
could not
done.
I could not resist. I couldn't resist it because you know Negroes will put Hollywood on this thing, right?
Yeah.
Oh, you don't have
Oh
wings
my
like
goodness. Oh, okay. But sis, I'm with you. I'm in agreement,
absolutely.
and it's a divine assignment that that into the dimensions, because there those in the dimensions they are enslaved, they're in bondage, and they need to be set free.
It's the same thing that the master did when he was resurrected. It's the same charge that we have to lead
Absolutely.
captivity captive,
Hmm.
lead them out of their captive places.
Hmm. Hmm. Dimensions.
Yeah, and
Hmm.
I'm sitting here thinking about a vision that I had on the way to a prayer breakfast, maybe about 6 or 7 years ago. And I was in the car. They had picked us up from the hotel. I was out of state. They picked us up from the hotel to go to minister at the prayer breakfast. And I was in the front seat and I began to laugh. And the apostle in the back was like, "What you see, apostle? What you seeing?" And what I saw was these pop-ups. This was before pop-up shop was a big deal. They were
Hmm.
like
Hmm.
pop-up tents, like they just popped up. And they were like birthing stations, but they were
Hmm.
diabolic birthing stations. And what happened was the father pushed me into the station. And when he pushed me into the station, I saw these entities sitting at on the stool on the seat, catching these diabolic babies because these other entities were laying on the tables and these babies were coming out of them, and they were washing them and they were cleaning them, you know. And
Hmm.
as I saw this, then the Holy Spirit, like the Spirit of Yah, pushed me into the seats. Notice I put an S on them because even though I was one person that was pushed into that realm or into that dimension, when I got pushed again, I was pushed into every seat.
Hmm.
And what I began to do as these entities were popping out these diabolic babies was take the babies and crash them to the floor.
Hmm.
That was what I just saw again because I didn't know for what time specifically, but I see that even now where we're being pushed
Hmm.
into these realms to
Hmm.
free the
Hmm.
captives and to crush Satan under our feet,
Hmm.
to
Hmm.
destroy the work of the enemy, to spoil the works of darkness. This is where we are. This is
Yes,
where we are.
yes.
I love you guys so much. I appreciate you. And I just want to say this, you know, be very mindful because we're in a very sensitive season. And it's not because of Hallows Eve, All Hallows Eve. This is the this is the time that we're in. This is the age that we're in. It's a very sensitive age. And so you got to be mindful of the age that you're in because there are a lot of conversations. Stop. There are a lot of conversations that are being had right now. And a lot of
Hmm.
people really are witches. It's blowing my mind to identify with this, but it is a fact. Let go of that door. It really is a fact that people are dealing in Kabbalism, you know, they're dealing in Kabbalah, they're dealing in all of these different things. And the people are none the wiser because they just see it as revelation. But you got to identify what is it the revelation of? Because
Hmm.
if it's not the revelation of the knowledge of Yah and his desire for his people, then what are we actually talking about?
Hmm.
What are we actually talking about? It's a very sensitive time, and knowledge has increased. Your job, because this is the work, right, is to know what knowledge is being put forth.
Hmm.
And it doesn't matter if it has a collar or a 12-foot tie. It doesn't matter what it's wearing or where it's located. It's our job to discern. But the first discernment, I say this, is yourself. You got to discern where you are, because you know that when you didn't discern yourself in another season, you wound up in places you ain't have no business being. But if you had a known, understood wisdom to discern yourself, then whatever was coming at you, you would have been able to discern it based on where you were located. And that's really important right now, that you discern your motive, that you discern what you're after, all of that. Because if you don't, you're going to be fooled every time. You're going to be tricked. There is no deception without truth being a part of it. Deception is not just raw lies. It's truth mixed with lies. It's the same thing that was in the garden. The knowledge of good and evil. It was a mixture. And that's what we're dealing with. Deception is not raw lies. It's enough truth twisted to capture you. Absolutely justified. It's enough truth to capture you. And once you're captured, you're like a bird that's been caught. You're like prey that's been caught. You're in the trap. And we talked about the mindset the other day and how these cultures that we take on become ultimately traditions and belief systems. And once you get locked into a belief system, if it ain't the right belief system, it's really hard to shake, because you feel like it's something that's embedded. It's something that's embedded. So we thank y'all tonight for the word. We thank y'all tonight for opening us up to the revelation of the things that we need to deal with. And he may even deal with some of you, many of you tonight. He's going to begin to deal with you, because things are going to come up. And as these things come up, instead of rejecting what's coming up, because people are like, I don't know why I'm feeling like that. Okay, don't get upset about it. Just identify. Identify it. And allow the Holy Spirit to reveal to you what it is. Those aren't for you. What it is that's attempting to deal with you. It's very important. Very important. We'll be on tomorrow, 7 o'clock. And we'll talk some more about these challenges. I want to share those things in a little more depth, because I want you to be able to see the picture of it. And I want you to be able to get a broad scope of it, so that you understand what you're dealing with. All right. These grandbabies is on the loose. I'm going to turn y'all loose. And remember that you're blessed, and don't forget it. And also remember that the body is not a new thing. It's a weak thing. We bid you shalom tonight. Brother, you want to say any final words?
I just want to say to each and every one of my brothers and sisters-in-law, I love you forever, and let the night this evening continue to enjoy you and your family.
Shalom, shalom, folks.
Shalom, shalom.